Good morning. Welcome to Yoga with Emily. I am filming today instead of from my bathroom, from my bedroom, and I'm hoping that the new tripod that I got makes it a little bit less amateur. But please bear with me if it drops the camera or if you can't see super well, because this isn't a professional production. It's just me in my bedroom. I've been normally filming in my master bathroom suite, and my mom talked to me last week and said, "Is there a reason why you're filming in your bathroom?" And that's kind of coded for my mom. One time I had a picture that I put up in several apartments that she didn't like, and she said, "Is there a reason why you keep putting up that picture?" So I'm pretty sensitive to advice from my mom, so I decided to switch to the master bedroom, which isn't really much more glamorous, but it also has a lock on the door. All right, let's sit up nice and tall. If you're joining me, I'm sitting in crisscross applesauce, so my legs are crossed, and open through the chest, bring the shoulders down, and lift through the crown of the head. And I don't want you to be stiff like military, still comfortable, but so that you're opened up and you can actually breathe. Let's take a few breaths together. Nice. All right, let's twist over to the right. I want to kind of ring out through the middle here. This really helps me reduce stress and get cricks out of my back. Even if you aren't really mindful and aware of the stress you're under, I think everybody's under a lot of stress right now, even if you're very blessed in your situation. We just live in an unprecedented time. So just honor that and take a moment to acknowledge that what you're doing is challenging. Okay, let's turn to the other side. And you want to be lifted through the chest. You don't want to kind of curl in here. We're lifting tall as we twist. And now coming back to center, I want to do a breath that I've been using for when I feel anxiety. This morning I woke up from a nightmare and I just felt my heart was racing. I felt really anxious, and so I used this breath and it really helped to calm me down. So I hope it helps you too. So first I'll explain it and then I'll demonstrate it. So you're going to breathe in for 4, the count of 4. Inhale, and then exhale for the count of 4. And then you're going to hold that breath for 8 seconds and then release. And we'll do this a few times. Just exploring that sensation of working with the breath. All right, ready? I'll do it with you. So inhale through the nose. Oh, whoops, I did it wrong. Okay, let me try again. So inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 8. Let's try it again. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, and hold. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, just take a moment and come back to your natural breath. And I'm going to do this another time with you, just counting silently with my fingers. So right, just breathe. That's a great breath to do if you're feeling anxiety at any time. All right, now let's continue with our practice. So I'm going to come into chair pose. I really like chair pose because it really kind of, I'm going to see if I can tilt this up a little bit. It really instantly brings me into my practice because it's a lot of work. So I'm going to bring my arms up and then have them, I'm having the palms facing forward, and then with my feet together, I'm going to sit back, keeping the knees together, and the weight is in the heels. Toes are relaxed. You probably can't see my toes, but they're relaxed. Just let those toes be on the mat and see if you can bring those shoulders down. And again, you're lifting through that crown of the head, so I don't want you to be like this, like a little turtle, okay? Shoulders are down. Nice, fierce pose here. And now we're going to do a breath with chair pose. And this is also a great way to start your day to just balance out your energy. So inhale, and as you exhale, you're going to bring your arms to your sides back here, okay? Inhale again, back up. And exhale. I'm going to stop cueing you, but I'm going to keep doing this. I'm going to do this a few more times. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, bring the arms back, and now I'm just going to kind of pulse those arms, working the triceps a little bit here. And with this intensity, I'm helping work through some of the energy that I had going on this morning. Nice deep breaths. When you work, you still want to breathe. And now still kind of working through the triceps here. I'm going to make a fist and then splay out the fingers. So fist, splay out the fingers. And again, this is working those small muscles in the arms. And it's more challenging than it looks. Keep with the breath. Just sparkling those hands out. And now staying in chair pose, I know you're probably shaking by now. I'm going to bring the arms forward and just pulse them, palm up. So we're borrowing a little bit from Pilates here with these targeted movements. Just waking up the arms, waking up the hips and the buns and the thighs and the calves. All right, let's shake it out. Shake out the legs, shake out the arms. And come back to mountain pose, hands at heart center. All right, let's come into a forward fold. Inhale up. Exhale, bow down, following the breath. Just release the head and neck here, nodding the head. Turning from side to side. And maybe circling that neck a little bit too. Oops, my necklace is getting in the way here. All right, inhale, halfway lift, hands on your shins or towards the mat. Exhale, release. Inhale all the way up. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, lift. Exhale, bow down. Inhale, look up. Exhale, release. Inhale all the way up. And now let's come back into that chair. So palms forward. I'm going to come back down, bringing the feet together, and come back into that chair. And now I'm going to continue with that flow that I was doing earlier. So as I exhale, I'm going to sweep back like I'm taking flight. And then inhale up. Big breaths here. Now bringing my arms to my sides, I'm going to do little circles with those arms behind me. And circle the other direction. I know the legs are getting shaky. If you need to shake it out a little bit, you can. Take a break for a minute here. And now shake everything out. And let's continue with our sun salutations. Hands to heart center. Take a couple breaths. Inhale, stretch up. Exhale, bow down. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, release. Inhale all the way up. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, lift. Exhale, bow down. Inhale, look up. And I'm going to come down onto my mat for a minute here. Okay, coming into toes pose, or you could bring the knees down. Bringing your hands to heart center. This is a great stretch for the back of the feet, but if it feels too intense, you can just sit in a position that's comfortable. I'm going to release my hands down on the mat and untuck my toes here. Okay, and I'm going to walk my hands behind me. Let me see if I can bring this down so you can see me a little better. Sorry. So hopefully you can see my thighs here. I'm stretching back, and then I'm going to lift the hips up just a little bit to get a nice stretch here. We just sat in chair pose, and so now I want to stretch out those hip flexors in that area that we just worked. This area here in the thighs is also where we tend to store a lot of fear and emotion. And so a great way to release that is through a stretch like this one. All right, I'm going to come forward and then bring my legs around. And I'm going to do a little bit of tricep work here. So with my hands behind me and my feet in front of me, I'm going to lift up my hips and then dip down, lift, lower, lift. So I'm just lifting and lowering about an inch here, not a lot, but just firing up those triceps a little bit. hold now. And release, come forward, stretch up and over to one side. And up and over to the other side. All right, sitting up tall, reach up with one arm. And you're gonna reach for the middle of your back. And now you can take the other arm and press it down, or you can create a bind by reaching up and around to make those hands touch. If you can't shake your own hand, that's okay. Yoga isn't about how deep you come into a pose. It's about that process of opening and stretching and exploring your body, of recognizing how miraculous your body is, and giving it the love that it deserves. All right, reach out. I'm just gonna reach behind here and interlace my hands and open up. Oh, this feels so good. And now let's get the other arm. So reaching up and now behind, and now I'm going to take this arm. You can either touch the elbow here or reach up and around and interlace. And again, don't tie yourself up into a knot. Do something that creates a good stretch for you without feeling like you're all tied up. Stretches should feel intense but not painful. If you're feeling pain, chances are you're actually not stretching the muscle, you're injuring or pulling the ligament. So be very careful. Okay, now let's go across. So opening up big, like I'm gonna give you a hug. And now cross one arm over, and you're gonna anchor either above or below the joint. You never wanna anchor on a joint. You never want to press into your knees or elbows. These hinge joints are pretty fragile, so you always want to show them the love and respect that they deserve. All right, open up big. And now other side. And again, either above or below the elbow. You don't want to press on a joint. These bodies are beautiful and they're strong, but they have fragility too. So we want to honor that strength as well as that fragility. All right, let's come back to that stretch. So I'm going to come back onto my knees, and I'm curling my toes under and allowing the back of the feet to stretch here. So this may not feel good for you, and if it doesn't, you can just sit for a moment with your breath. This always feels really good to stretch out through the bottom of my feet. I took a nice long walk this morning, and so it feels good. All right, untucking those toes. I'm now gonna walk back, and I can feel a stretch through the back of my arms to here. And then I'm gonna keep my chin tucked. You can release if that feels better. And I'm gonna lift my hips up a little bit to get that stretch through the front of the hips. And now I'm going to take this even deeper because I'm very flexible. Be careful here, because if this is very intense for you, you don't want to take this to the next step. So I'm bringing my feet out from underneath me so that my heels are no longer underneath my my hips, but kind of to the side of my hips. And then I'm gently walking down. If this feels really intense, you can stay right here. Some people may be able to come all the way down. I'm not quite that flexible. So I'm just recognizing where it's intense and I feel that stretch, but not where I feel pain or like panic or like I'm trapped. All right, coming back forward, curling the toes under. I'm gonna come into a forward fold now. So straightening the legs. I'm just gonna sway here. And now bending the knees, roll all the way up. I'll step back so you can, let me adjust this. Okay. Now maybe you'll be able to see me better. Circle sweep all the way up. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, bow down. Inhale, look up. Exhale, release. Inhale all the way up. And exhale, hands to heart center. All right, I'm gonna come into warrior two from here. So if I'm just stepping forward, I'm gonna start with my right leg and just step to the front of my mat. And I wanna get so that the knee is right above the ankle and the knee is pointing the same way as the toes. So the legs are nice and open. The back foot's at an angle and the front foot, if I put my feet together, the heel of the front foot would touch the middle of the back foot. Now for the arms, stretch out the arms and open up through the chest. Warrior two. And just a nice soft focused gaze. Just pick something to look at. That'll help with balance. All right, now I'm going to do a reverse warrior. So flip the front palm, reach back, and reaching up and back, looking up at the sky. Okay, now I'm going to come back to warrior two. Stretching those arms out. Back arm is lifted here, reaching towards the back. And really have energy in those arms. All right, I'm gonna come into triangle pose from here. So stretching the front leg straight, I'm gonna reach forward and then down, reaching up with the other arm. So I'm grabbing a hold of my shin here. You could grab the ankle or you can use a block. This is with the block, it's kind of nice. You can just have that there and use it to support you. And coming back up to warrior two. All right, now I'm gonna do a little bit of rehab for my knee here. I like to do this when I'm in warrior two. I'm gonna lift up the heel of the front foot and then lower it down. Lift, lunging forward a little bit more, and lower. Lift and lower. And this really activates the muscles around the knee to strengthen that leg and help protect the joint. Everything I do in my practice is about enhancing mobility because I want to be able to walk on these knees for as long as I can. And I'm not straightening the leg out all the way. I'm just straightening it a tiny bit as I lift the heel. And I'm really feeling those muscles working. hop this back foot forward a little bit. Well, I'm gonna actually hop this foot back so you can see me better. And now from here, I'm gonna bring my hands behind me and open up through the chest. And then I'm gonna come forward. This is called triangle pose. If it feels better, you can have a block here to hold on to. All right, from triangle pose, I want to come into a challenging balancing pose. This is optional. If it's something that scares you, you don't need to try it. But I'm going to release that front knee and bring the hands down and come into standing splits. So I'm going to lift my left foot up into the air. And then from here, I'm going to take this a step further, coming into balancing half moon, and lift up with my arm and balance. So my back toe is lifted. I'm balancing on one side. And I'm a little wobbly. Balance is not my forte. That's okay. All right, release. And I'm gonna release this leg down and just sway a little bit to let go of this. That felt really nice to challenge myself. Sorry, my pants are malfunctioning. All right, I'm gonna do the other side now. So coming into warrior two, stepping forward, reaching those arms out. The front toes are pointed forward, the front knee is pointed forward, and the back foot is at an angle. So kind of like a fencing stance. Front arm reaches towards the front, back arm is pointed towards the back. Shoulders are down, tummy is in. And now flip this front palm and you're gonna reach up and back and stretch. Reverse warrior. And let's come back into warrior two. And I'm gonna do this knee rehab on the other side. I'm gonna bring my foot a little further back and then lift through the heel and then straighten the knee just a little bit. Don't lock it back. And just working these muscles to support the joints of the knee. Now this might feel intense and that's okay, but you shouldn't be feeling pain while you do this. Pain is a sign from your body that you're going too far. All right, now I'm gonna hop this back foot up and come into triangle pose. So same stance, but my feet are closer together. And I'm gonna inhale, open up, and then come forward. All right, release both hands. You're gonna bend this front knee, bringing your weight forward, and then you're gonna lift the back leg up. If you can see that. So my back leg is lifted and I'm balancing on this front leg. Okay, you can stay here in standing splits. This is a very challenging pose. I'm gonna bring my block forward for a little more stability. And then I'm gonna open up here. Whoops. I'm gonna use my desk to help me. Whoops, and I'm falling over coming into balancing half moon. This is a very challenging balance for me. But I'm gonna keep trying. Falling down is the only way you learn to balance in yoga. You gotta fall a lot before you learn to walk, to skate, to ride your bike, or to practice yoga. Sometimes the times we fall in life are just as important as the times we get up. So be compassionate and recognize that that's about finding balance. And release. Okay, I'm just going to shake it out here. All right, I'm going to do a couple sun salutations. Inhale all the way up. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, lift. Exhale, bow. Inhale, look up. Exhale, release. Inhale all the way up. And remember our chair pose? Let's come back into our chair pose. So toe heeling the feet together. Coming to sit back. And I'm just going to hold my hands at heart center here. And I'm going to intensify this chair and also, again, working these muscles around the knees to help build strength and mobility and to challenge my balance. I'm going to lift my heels up here, and that's going to make me wobbly. And now I'm going to come lower, really challenging my balance here. And release the heels down. I'm going to bring the hands back to heart center. I'm still in chair pose here. And now I'm going to play with this pose a little bit. I'm going to lift one heel and then lift the other heel. Lift one side and lift the other. Bringing both heels down, I'm going to come into a one-legged chair and balance. So I'm going to straighten out first, shake those hips a little bit, and then come back down. And now taking one leg, you're going to cross it over, flexing the foot to protect the foot, and come into a one-legged chair. If this hurts, don't do it. This is really hard for me right now because my legs are fatigued. All right, I'm going to shake it out and then try the other side. So coming back into chair, and you can just stay in traditional chair if you don't want to do the one-legged chair. Crossing the foot over again. Make sure that this crossed foot is flexed to protect the joint. Don't hold your breath. Breathe. And release. Shake it out. And I'm going to come down onto my mat. I think I'm going to lower this down because I'll spend more time on the bottom of my mat for the rest of this. Sorry, I know the camera work here is a little crazy. All right, I'm gonna put you down here. All right, so on our mats now, whoops, sorry. All right, so coming down onto our mats, we're gonna work the core a little bit here. So I'm gonna come into boat pose, which is a great pose to help build core strength. So you can keep your toes down if you like. I'm going to show this from this side actually. But you want to be on your forward on your sits bones. If you're back on your tailbone, it's probably going to hurt. So you can hold on to the back of the legs if you want, or you can release. But really pull that belly in. And shaking here is good. It means you're really challenging your balance and your core and your focus. Still with me? All right, now I'm going to do that tricep work a little bit and a little bit more of the stretching. So reaching my arms behind me, lifting the hips up. I'm going to lower down by bending the elbows. I'll show from this side. Lower down by bending the elbows a little bit and then lift. So I'm not lowering and lifting a lot. Just a little bit to really activate those upper arms and get some strength. One of my goals during this stay-at-home period is I'm trying to get a little bit more upper body strength because most women tend to be weak in this area. So I'm just trying to push and stretch myself. All right, bringing the hips down. Now I'm going to bend and lift here. Lowering and lifting, and the elbows are pointing towards the back. So just again, trying to challenge those triceps. Make them work. Make them get stronger. Let's stretch out what we just worked. So you can cross one leg over. Let's just stretch out through the hip first. So stretching out through the hip, cross the legs over, and then you can leave your legs like this and just kind of be cross-legged, or you can bring the knees so that they're stacked, bringing either foot to the opposite sides of your hips. This is called cow face pose. And then you're going to take this top arm and reach around and then reach up. If you can't quite make it into this pose, that's okay. Again, it's about finding that place where you feel challenged in your body, not about forcing yourself into a shape. And really, that's what our fitness and health routine should be about bringing out the best in our own bodies, becoming stronger and healthier, not about fitting into some shape that's in a magazine or airbrushed. And that's ridiculous. We're not here to be decorations. We're here to have this earthly experience and to love fiercely and be authentic and explore with these bodies. These bodies are beautiful, exactly as they are. All right, let's release. I'm just gonna kind of roll my shoulders a little bit here, and I'm gonna switch sides. So crossing the other foot over, I'm gonna twist, just getting a little bit of stretch in the back of the hip here. And then you might want to just stay here with one leg crossed over the other. I'm going to come into the full cow face pose by bringing the opposite foot to the opposite hip, and then the knees are stacked here. And then the other arm's going to come up and around, and I'm going to reach around and interlace. And there are some poses at this point in my practice that I'm never going to fully come into, and I've accepted that. There are poses that I did when I was younger that I no longer do because my body has changed and gained wisdom and experience. So there's things I know now that I didn't then when I could do some of those poses. And I wouldn't give those things up or those experiences up. Aging is not a curse, it's a gift, if we're lucky enough to have it. The fact that we're mortal and that this experience is limited is what makes it so precious. All right, release here. I'm just going to kind of roll through the shoulders. And I'm going to bring my legs out in front of me. And I'm going to come into a forward fold. So stretching the arms up, I'm going to reach all the way towards you. And don't force the stretch, just come forward till you feel a nice intensity. And that's how you know that you're opening up those muscles. If this feels like agonizing pain, step back a little bit. There's no need to cause yourself grief. Let's open up a little differently through the hips. So I'm going to cross one leg. You won't be able to see my whole body here, but I'm crossing one leg and bringing the foot to the inside of my opposite leg and then extending that leg out to the side. Stretching up and over, I'm going to reach towards that foot. And I really want to reach up and through the body here. I'm not trying to go forward towards that foot. I want to reach up and over. All right, coming back to center. Let's switch out the feet. So one foot's coming in towards my groin and the other foot's extending off to the side. Reaching my arm up by the ear, I'm going to reach, oops, I'll scooch over so you can still see my face. I'm going to reach over towards that straight leg. And this feels really good along the side of my body and my arm. Keep breathing. I was holding my breath. You caught me. All right, coming back to center. I'm going to open up just a little bit more through the hips before I come into my final resting pose. So bringing my feet in front of me, knees are together. I'm going to open up the soles of my feet like a book. Pressing those feet together, and then I use my elbows to kind of open a little deeper. And again, this feels lovely to me. You want to stretch where you feel that intensity, but not where you feel pain. Deep breaths. And see if even through the intensity of the stretch, you can relax just a little bit with each exhale. Maybe open up a little deeper. All right. Bringing my legs out in front of me, I'm just going to kind of shake them out. And let's come into our final resting pose. So I'm going to take you out of your cradle here. I'm going to bring you up to my face as I lie down. So I like to take a little rolled up towel and put it underneath my neck because I have some neck issues. And that just allows me to feel secure and supported as I'm lying down. And then you can take one hand to your heart and the other hand to your belly. And you're just going to close your eyes here. Just lying down, allow those feet to fall open. If it's not comfortable to be on your back, feel free to lie on your side in a fetal position or in any position that feels good. If it feels good to be on your belly, lie on your belly. And just allow your body to melt into the earth. Just letting go. We spend so much time trying to control everything by tensing up and being rigid. Just let it go. Just release. It's gonna be okay. I don't know how, but it's gonna be okay. Now you stay in Shavasana. I'm going to come into a seated pose and I'm going to tell you a story. You may have heard this story. It's called Ferdinand. And it's just a good story to me that teaches about compassion with self and others. So there was a bull named Ferdinand and he lived in Spain. And he wasn't like the other bulls. The other bulls loved to tussle and fight each other and show who could be the bravest and knock horns. But Ferdinand, he didn't want to do any of those things. He just liked to sit in the grass and smell the flowers. So one day, the bullfighters came to find a bull to take to Madrid for the bullfights. And so they came and all the bulls were being so brave and tussling with each other and showing how tough they were. But Ferdinand, he just wandered over to his favorite tree and he just sat and smelled the aromas of his favorite flowers. So he felt like standing was a little bit too much work for what he wanted to do. It was making him tired to watch all the other bulls fight and tussle. So he decided to sit down under the tree in the shade so that he could be a little more relaxed while he was smelling the flowers and enjoying the view. But what Ferdinand didn't know is that right underneath him was a poor bee just trying to gather honey for her hive. And when Ferdinand sat on that bee, ow, it really hurt and stung him. He jumped up and just started going crazy, running all around trying to knock that bee off him. And when those bullfighters saw that fearsome bull, they knew that Ferdinand was the one for the fight. So they took him to Madrid and they brought him into the arena. And they said, this is the most fearsome bull. They advertised it and had the most fearless toreador, the most fearless bullfighter, come out to fight him. And so Ferdinand was brought out into the middle of the ring, prodded, and everyone was afraid because they'd heard about the fierce reputation of this giant angry bull. And then when they put him into the middle of the arena, Ferdinand just sat down and there were all the señoritas in the audience with the flowers in their hair. And he closed his eyes and just smelled the flowers. So everybody assumed that because they had seen Ferdinand after he'd been stung by the bee, that he was the fiercest and scariest of all the bulls, and that he would be an excellent bull to fight. But it turns out that what they were just seeing was the effect of Ferdinand feeling some pain and reacting to it. And remember, as we look at people around us and the way they're reacting, or even look at ourselves and our own behaviors, to have compassion and know that you're just seeing one slice of a person when you see them in the day. And there's many more parts to that person that you may not see. And even though they may look fierce, or they may look calm, or they may look confident, or they may look arrogant, you're just seeing a face that they're putting on for you that day. There's so much more to them. And deep inside somewhere, even though they may look fierce, they may just want to smell the flowers. All right, let's finish up our practice. So you're lying down. I'm going to lie back down with you. Take a deep breath. Wiggle your fingers and toes. And I want you to stretch your arms up and over. I'm just stretching one arm because I'm holding the other one with my phone. And then you're going to hug your knees to your chest. Okay? And just rock a little bit from side to side here. Oops. Just rocking a little bit from side to side. And now roll over onto your side. I'm going to bring my little pillow with me here. And just take a moment just to savor this moment of stillness. Just breathing. Knowing what a gift it is to breathe. And now let's gently come into a seated position. So making your way all the way to a seated position, I'm going to put you back in your tripod here. And you can sit in crisscross applesauce, or you can find another position that's comfortable for you. And just rest your hands on your knees. Bring the shoulders down. Let's stretch out through the neck just a little bit. Back to center and over to the other side. Back to center. Bringing your hands to heart center. We're going to close our practice with a traditional salute. Bring your thumbs to forehead center and bow. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope to see you next week. Have a wonderful week and smell the flowers.